Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Glad to be back.
Today, we're going to be looking at this idea of self-cultivation.
Okay.
And we've got a couple of kind of unusual sources, I guess.
Yeah.
We've got some excerpts from a philosophical text,
Right.
and also a quote from Andy Warhol.
Interesting.
So we'll see how how we can tie those two things together.
Yeah, how do those connect? I'm curious.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
So the philosophical text uses this word edify.
Okay.
And edify, I looked it up, it basically means like to improve morally or intellectually.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like learning,
Yeah.
to improve your character.
Yeah.
Which I don't know about you, but I don't think of learning that way very often.
I think it's easy to get caught up in the kind of like the acquisition of knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I need to learn this skill for this job.
Yeah, exactly.
Or I need to read this book to, sound smart at a party. But we don't often think about how what we learn is actually shaping who we are as people.
Yeah.
Our values and our character.
Right, and like what impact it's having on the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what self-cultivation is really all about, I think. It's not just about acquiring knowledge, but it's about, like you said, cultivating yourself.
Yeah, and it's like this ongoing thing.
Absolutely.
You know?
It's a journey. You're
Yeah.
never really done.
Right. And the text, it's pretty straightforward about how hard this is.
Oh, yeah.
Like it talks about willpower.
Yeah.
And it talks about overcoming like your own weaknesses,
Right.
which I think we can all relate to
I
that.
think everyone struggles with that.
Yeah.
For sure.
There's even this line in here. Let me see if I can find it. It says, many will tear us down and try to morph us into something we truly are not.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty intense.
That's a powerful statement. Yeah. And it's so true. I mean, think about all the pressures we face in our lives to conform to be a certain way.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest obstacles to self-cultivation is all those external forces that are constantly trying to shape us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is where the idea of like an untainted self comes in.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's about protecting that core part of who you are.
Right.
From all of those outside influences that are trying to like mold you into something you're not.
Yeah.
It's about staying true to yourself.
I've always had a hard time with the idea of mentors.
Oh, really?
Because like you hear about them a lot.
Yeah.
And this text also mentions that mentors are really important for self-cultivation.
Okay. Yeah.
Especially when like you fail.
Okay.
Like they can help you, pick you back up.
Right.
But I don't know. I've always wondered, like, do you really need one?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I definitely think mentors can be incredibly helpful. They can provide guidance and support and encouragement, especially when you're feeling lost or discouraged.
Right.
But I don't necessarily think they're essential for everyone. I think ultimately self-cultivation is an inner journey.
Mm-hmm.
It's about looking inward and really being honest with yourself about who you are and who you want to be.
Right.
And sometimes you can find those answers on your own.
Yeah.
Through introspection and reflection.
Right.
It's not always easy,
Yeah.
but it can be very rewarding.
So maybe it's more about just having like a set of principles.
Yeah.
Like whether you got them from someone or whether you developed them on your own.
I think that's a really good point. It's
Yeah.
about having something to guide you,
Yeah.
a framework for your growth.
So that brings us to Andy Warhol.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear it.
So he said, I think having land and not ruining it is the most beautiful art that anybody could ever want. So what do you think? Does that have anything to do with self-cultivation?
It's interesting, right? Because at first glance, it seems completely unrelated.
Right.
But I think there's a really interesting connection there.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if we think of that land as a metaphor for our inner selves?
Okay.
That untainted self that we were talking about,
Yeah.
and then not ruining it would be about resisting those pressures to conform.
Right.
To let external forces dictate who you are.
So instead of cultivating a plot of land, you're cultivating yourself.
Exactly. I think Warhol is talking about this idea of preserving what's already beautiful and unique about who you are.
Yeah.
Not letting the world kind of like pave over it and turn it into something generic.
And so how do you know what is that true, authentic self?
That's $1 million question, right?
Yeah.
I think it takes a lot of introspection.
Okay.
And honesty.
Mm-hmm.
Being willing to kind of look beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And really examine your motivations and your values.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it can also take courage to be true to that self.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes it means going against the grain,
Yeah. Yeah.
not doing what everyone else is doing.
Right.
but I think ultimately it's the most rewarding path you can take.
That's awesome. Well, this has been a really interesting deep dive, I think.
Yeah, it has.
We've talked about what self-cultivation really means. We've talked about the challenges
Hmm.
and, what kind of role mentors might play.
Hmm.
And then we even found a connection to Andy Warhol.
Yeah, it's amazing how these ideas can pop up in the most unexpected places.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's a thought for all of you out there listening. What land are you cultivating in your life?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, what are you trying to protect from being ruined? What's influencing you? And how are you dealing with all that?
Yeah.
So just take some time to think about that. It's definitely something worth thinking about. And that's it for today's deep dive.
Thanks for listening.
See ya.
See you next time.